According to a 2019 executive summary on poverty and inequality by the National Bureau of Statistics, 40.1% of the population of Nigeria, Africa's most populous country and the largest producer of oil, is classified as poor.
This means an average of 4 out of 10 Nigerians has per capita expenditure below $400. These indices have tripled due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Now, TVC News senior correspondent Shawnee Jackson has a story of a suburb in Lagos where residents are not only poor but lack proper shelter and are stranded with nowhere to go.
Before COVID-19, the number of Nigerians living in poverty was expected to increase by 2 million, largely due to population growth. Without bold reforms, strong fiscal and monetary policy actions, the report warns that the macroeconomic implications of COVID-19 in 2020 and 2021 will be severe, including loss of life and the possibility of 5 million more Nigerians being pushed into poverty, even if Nigeria manages to contain the spread of the virus. For rural communities, the effect is more, as most families earn below $1 per day and face harsh economic realities. In my quest to find such communities, I visited Ajegunle, a popular community in Lagos, Nigeria. For this particular settlement, close to the Maracana Stadium, their homes were demolished June 12, 2020. I met with Atinke Iwalefon. She is in her 70s, old, frail, newly evicted from her home, with no income or savings to fall back on. She tells me since the imposed lockdown, she has been finding it difficult to feed or take care of herself.
I dey sick now. It don't reach 7 years.
I have been very ill for many years. I am now homeless. I don't have money to relocate to my state in Ondo. I only pray help will come. I don't eat often at night. I am very cold. I have been suffering before the lockdown, but now it's worse.
The suffer where I do suffer for morning, afternoon, evening time. I can book all of them for me.
All right, joining us now is economist and policy analyst Mayokun Oilo. Mayokun, it's good to have you join us this morning. Now, when it comes to the issues of poverty, from the statistics we see, every year the numbers keep increasing. Yet, government says they've been doing everything to ensure they lift people out of poverty. How do we reconcile this effort by government and the reality of the number of poor people rising in Nigeria to the level where Nigeria is seen as the poverty capital of the world?
Good morning, Mike. I think the obvious thing is something is not adding up. If you are doing something and you are not getting the results you are looking for, obviously, probably you are leaning against the wrong work. It's not by magic that for about 30 years, China was growing at a GDP growth rate of 12% per annum. We bypassed India, the poverty capital of the world, in 2017. And 40% out of Nigerians, like your correspondent said earlier, is living in abject poverty, below $400 GDP per capita. This is not acceptable. Government is trying. We are accepting that. But obviously, they are not doing some things right. Or maybe the plethora of choices before them, they are not picking the ones that will take us out of poverty as they intend. So I've seen Nigerians, I was talking with some colleagues earlier. The fact is, Nigeria has the best brains. We have the intellectuals, we have the sagacity, we have people that can help us to put economic blueprint together to drive us. Government should engage those people. More importantly, when they bring out the partners towards development, they should follow it. It's not rocket science that we are where we are. It's not because we are black. It's because we are not doing something right. I believe we can make a change if we start today.
Well, the situation on the ground now, which has to do with COVID-19, has expanded the figures even further with regards to poverty. And it's not just in Nigeria, but across the world. At this point, how do we begin to look at protecting the poor?
the decision to take Nigerians out of poverty will contain those things that we need to treat this pandemic. When you talk about poverty, there are some things that come to mind: healthcare, access to good education, sanitation, living conditions, remittances, and jobs. If we take care of these things, obviously it will affect the level of poverty even inside COVID-19. This thing has exacerbated whatever position Nigerians, the poorest of us, have found themselves. And they have depended largely on government now, that if there's no government decision or government incentive or government positioning of taking proactive measures to bring them out of poverty, there was further this report that COVID-19 is going to bring more extreme poverty in the world. And I will tell you, more than 50% of those that have been positioned to be pushed further into poverty, half of them are from sub-Saharan Africa. The other portion is largely from South Asia. It is not by mistake. Development is not rocket science. Government can do whatever needs to be done to create employment, to do policies that will engender job growth across the nation. Whatever it is you do in the Southwest, you can do it with consideration for local conditions in the North and begin to generate employment for the people.
All right. Now, from 24% poverty rate right now, unemployment rate, it is said that it could increase to about 33.5% at the end of the year due to the impacts of COVID-19. How does that impact or compound the issues of poverty in the country?
Well, let me give you a scenario like the woman that your correspondent talked about earlier. She had a source of livelihood. Now maybe her house was demolished. She lost the house. How does she feed its relatives abroad? Now there's coronavirus. Those people who are not working, they can't remit money. They can't send money home. Whoever it is that is depending on them, and you can be sure that an average worker in Nigeria has to feed 5 to 10 mouths. Those of us who are in the employment bracket too, at the end of the day, you find that people you have known over time, people that have not spoken with you in years. I've had people from my secondary school days call me and say, okay, these times are hard. My husband has lost a job. My wife is not doing anything. I don't have something I'm doing. How can you help? And when you look at the limitation of your own resources, plus what you have to do, it drives home the point that imagine moving from 24% unemployment that, as it were, is extreme, and moving to 33%. Ultimately, people will feel
all
the
right,
pang of
Mayoko,
poverty.
we have to leave the conversation here now. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Analysts have said from some studies that Nigeria has about 4 major issues responsible for its poverty. And number one is corruption in government. Then the other one is lack of economic infrastructure. Then the other is poor access to education and poor access to health. Which of these seem to be a little more when it comes to gravity and consequence?
Well, thank you, Mike. Good morning again. I think if we fix the issue with corruption, 80% of our problem will be gone. We are not at a loss as to the value of human capital, how to develop them. But when public funds find their way into private pockets, find their way into overseas accounts where they are used to buy houses in some world capitals, the impact is that less funds are available for developmental projects, things that will impact on the lives of the average citizen. Much of our population, they operate in the informal sector, as much as 80% nationwide. In Lagos alone, 65% of people we see around work in the informal sector. And if there's anything you know about that, is that there are no social safety nets. So when there's corruption, when there are no regular infrastructure, when there is no health facility that can take care of the needs of these people, the NHIS scheme, I have to briefly refer to that. In Ghana, the uptake is more than 50%. In Nigeria, we are still struggling to get to 10%. That means less than 10% of Lagosians or Nigerians, as it were, have access to health when they are sick. So imagine when you You now compound that with coronavirus. It's like, as Fela would say, it's double wala for them.
So what are the likely scenarios if nothing is done as quickly as possible?
Well, the likely scenarios is that more people will die. The things that should ordinarily not kill us will continue to kill us and even kill us even the more. Maternal mortality, infant mortality, they are already among the highest in the whole world. If we are not taking this issue seriously as we should, more and more people will continue to die. We can now be mounting development. We cannot be telling us that we want to develop this country. We have good intentions. Good intentions don't develop countries. Good leaders and good policies do. So if we want to fight this, we have to fight corruption wholeheartedly, sincerely, and with tools that actually work. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Things have been done in other countries. Go to Singapore, go to China, go to all these other places, even America. People who have been talking about hush puppy, they had a free pass. It was coming and going. EFCC didn't wake up until it became a national and international embarrassment to us. So they can't be telling us they are fighting corruption when they are not doing the needful. If we want to fight corruption, let us do the needful. We commend the president that he has good intentions, but he needs to work with the people that will make his good intentions to come into good ideas and good development for the people of the country.
All right. Mayakumi Ilo, thank you so much for speaking with us. Indeed, good intentions do not develop countries.
Exactly. The point there is you could be a perfect gentleman, you could be, the best of all, but if you don't translate that into reality for people to feel the impact, it won't still mean anything.
It won't change anything. Well, let's tell you now that the views and reactions of our resource persons on the topics discussed today are their views and have no connection with TVC News.
All right, we thank you for watching. You can keep up with us on social media using the hashtag TVC Breakfast. And let's do this again tomorrow.
Until then, do stay safe. Bye now.
Bye.